She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy. But she's a stupid person.
Okay, so that is Donald Trump talking about Liz Cheney, who obviously is a stupid person. She is, after all, a woman. I mean, let's be clear. Donald Trump thinks every woman who disagrees with him is stupid. And I disagree with Liz Cheney on a lot. I even disagree with her on the topic he's talking about, because he's talking about how she is a war hawk. Okay, that's the context. And then he goes into imagine if she had 9 rifles pointed at her. I mean, how dare this woman oppose me? She should be surrounded by a firing squad. And that has led to a ton of back and forth. Is he threatening her life? Is he just making a point about war? And we're gonna jump through all of that. And we're gonna point out all of the people who are being fundamentally dishonest about what's actually happening. Now, we're gonna give her first response because she is the person being discussed. She said, this is how dictators destroy free nations. They threaten those who speak against them with death. We cannot entrust our country and our freedom to a petty, vindictive, cruel, unstable man who wants to be a tyrant. Hashtag women will not be silenced. Hashtag vote Kamala. Again, I don't want to delve into all of what she has said and voted on when it comes to women's rights in the past, because I have a feeling that hashtag would not survive that discussion, but whatever. She doesn't like what he said, and I think that's fair. Now, do I think that he is literally threatening her with a firing squad here? No, I don't think that's what he's doing. And I think there might be some who oppose Trump who are implying that's what he's doing. I also think that what he's doing is reprehensible, to be fair. Now let's jump to just a couple more comments. Trump's campaign has responded to some of the fear that's been kicked up over this, saying that he was talking about how Liz Cheney wants to send America's sons and daughters to fight in wars despite never being in a war herself. He was clearly describing a combat zone. You know, the combat zones where you're surrounded with 9 rifles pointed at your face. Donald Trump knows what combat zones are like because obviously he served in the military for many years. But anyway, saying, I'm just describing the fact that she's a war hawk, which we will certainly respond to. Fox and Friends believes that any criticism about what he said is unacceptable. Take a look.
Tucker's doing live shows all across the country, and he was asked about one of his chief critics who's campaigning against him. So people are portraying it as if he's saying she should be in front of a firing squad, or she should be shot or assassinated. Obviously, you understand Trump, you understand the context. That is not the story. But Drudge is leading.
There's no let the war hawks fight these foreign wars that they're starting and that they're finishing.
They're trying to grasp for something from the former president to say he's calling for the assassination of Liz Cheney. I don't think anyone really believes that.
She knows better.
Yeah,
I mean, she knows better. They're going to try to make the most of it.
But she's changed the entire record.
Okay, so Sharon, I want your thoughts, and then I'll weigh in. What do you think?
I'm somewhere a little bit on the side of those who believe he actually means it, because I think he is fantasizing about shooting down and eliminating his critics. I think he actually has fantasies in the daytime, many fantasies about, I wish Liz Cheney were dead, Hillary Clinton, Kamala, I wish I could cut out her tongue, she can't laugh anymore, whatever it is. I think this madman actually has these fantasies. And I'm tired of people even picking and parsing and trying to figure it out. Like, what do you need, Rosetta Stone, to kind of speak his language? He's, almost 80 years old. Get over it. He says what he means. He's a nasty, ignorant guy. And these are the things he's saying. And besides, this is the party that claimed that, well, the Democrats and their rhetoric, you're causing the former president to nearly be assassinated. His ear had a maxi pad. No, you're doing it. He knows there's crazy people out there that will come hunting her. They'll come hunting her.
Yeah, he is, after all, the person that would imply that referring to him as a fascist is a direct call for young Republicans to pick up an AR-15 and shoot him. But him fantasizing about her being surrounded by rifles is not. Utterly, utterly hypocritical. And so, look, I want to be clear. I can acknowledge the context that he was talking about, and I do want to talk about that context because I think it's hilarious and deeply ironic. And also acknowledge what he is fundamentally doing is not either calling for her to be executed or criticizing her as a war hawk. Those are both contextual things that we can debate. What he's doing is making noises at a rabid crowd of conservatives that allows them to fantasize about people they disagree with being killed. Like, oh God, can you just imagine if she was surrounded by rifles in whatever context, in a firing squad, off in war? Oh, I just love it. They're constantly talking about blood and guts and the skulls of their enemies being piled up. That is all you hear from them. Whether it's their politicians on the rally stage, or it's on Fox News, or it's the independent right-wing media, it is constant blood and violence and civil war. And someday, yes, you will be able to kill the people you disagree with. Or at the very least, you'll be able to watch broadcast on TV the people you disagree with be shot. That is what they provide. They drone on with that dirge of blood so that their legions can stand there with one arm out thrust with locked elbow and the other fiddling around in their dockers. That's what they're doing. It is a fantasy about the murder of your opponents. And no, so I don't think he's literally calling for her to be executed right there, although he has done stuff like that in the past. When he's retweeting Elizabeth Lynn Cheney is guilty of treason, retruth if you want televised military tribunals, or when he amplified other calls for televised military tribunals, that is calling for her to potentially be executed by the state. There's no ambiguity there. I think the bigger issue is the constant rhetoric and imagery of people you disagree with being murdered, and it is a constant. Other thoughts?
I think you hit the nail on the head. There can be no dissension. Anybody who just hiccups and says, I wouldn't do that, is going to get like that whack-a-mole thing. They're going to get hit by him. And I think it's a very dangerous thing. It is, like her tweet said, like a dictator. This is how they do it. They eliminate all dissent so that they are the lone voice standing. And even when they're incredibly unreasonable, this is how we're doing it.
Yeah, it's grotesque. And by the way, Tucker Carlson had nothing to say about it. Yeah, just go on with your thing about the rifles and everything. By the way, Donald Trump cheated the system to not serve in the military. I just love when he tries to call out other people when he has done nothing but badmouth and besmirch the military for literally decades. Also, is she a war hawk? Yes, she's a war hawk. I disagree with her on all of this stuff. You know what Donald Trump did? He kept us in every single one of the wars we were in when he became president. You'll notice that the Fox and Friends, the woman is like, she would start or end these wars. Yeah, he continued them. He continued all of them. If he was still president, we'd be in all of these conflicts. He massively escalated the conflicts, particularly in Syria. He's perfectly happy with people being invaded and slaughtered and killed with our arms in Gaza. He'd be perfectly happy to have Russian boots treading over every inch of Ukraine. He is a war hawk just for other wars. Yeah, maybe he won't invade a new place, although he certainly loves to talk about invading northern Mexico. It's just so utterly hypocritical, all the talk about war hawks and trying to imply that Donald Trump is pro-peace. He literally never has been. Thanks for watching our video. Did you know that you can support our show by becoming a subscriber? Just click the subscribe button and also ring the bell so that you get notifications when we're live or when we post new content.